Hello, everyone. This is Franklin Salis with the Reluctant Hams. I have Gigi Lou to my left.
Hello.
And how are you, Gigi?
I'm doing great, Franklin.
And I have Tracy Williams Barnett to my right.
Hi, everyone. I'm here.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
And we have a very special episode today because we have our special guest.
What?
We have a special guest.
Oh.
She's smart. Evelyn Miller, JD.
Oh, yes.
Dang. How do you follow up with
Welcome.
that?
We're too excited to have you here today, really.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
And you're no stranger to our listeners because we talk about you all the time.
I have heard my name come up in a couple of episodes.
That's how you get a spot as a guest on the show.
I've heard a couple of Evelyn said, blah, blah, blah.
People are like, who's Evelyn?
Well,
Now you know.
now you know. So today's episode, we're going to talk about relationships and real estate. And it's very broad topic. We all have good stories, funny stories. I'm leaning towards the funny side.
Always.
But before we do that,
Yes.
someone celebrated her birthday before.
Oh.
Yes, Tracy, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
Happy birthday.
belated.
Thank
Actually,
you, friends.
Tracy and Franklin.
Toast to us.
Toast.
Yeah,
we're
to the
gonna
Virgos.
cheers To the
We
Cheers.
Virgos.
actually have champagne.
Yes.
Thank you, Gigi.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Yeah, Gigi.
I only drink for you guys. Last time I drank was at a smart event.
Was it?
Yeah, it was at the smart event, the opening.
Yes.
Sounds
party.
about right.
I still feel it.
It's on brand. So how was your birthday celebration, Tracy? Or celebrations?
It was,
Puerto Rico.
well, that was the early part of
Ooh.
the celebration.
Okay.
So should I talk about Puerto Rico?
Yes, I want to hear about Puerto Rico.
Oh my gosh. Franklin,
Go ahead, girl.
I'm in love with Puerto Rico.
You are?
Oh.
Yes.
Why?
She's gonna buy a house there.
I would love to. I would love to.
was
I just
waiting
didn't
for-
have enough time to go looking at real estate. You know, everywhere I go and I look for real estate. And so
That's
next
what
time
realtors
I
do.
go back.
They wanna-
Absolutely.
everywhere they go, they want to buy something if they enjoyed it.
Is that the truth? It is.
My poor husband, I do that all the time. We'll spend a good 2 weeks after our vacation talking about like where we should buy and like what the prices are like and talk about it like till he's exhausted and then like it never happens.
And then you don't do it, right?
And then I'm like, why would I
exactly.
buy here when I can just rent an Airbnb?
Exactly.
It's a fun exercise. It's like putting things in your cart. In
Oh
Amazon,
my
but
gosh.
never buying them.
That's exactly what
That's
it is.
torturous.
Enjoy the shopping.
My Amazon cart's very dangerous because I save a lot of things in the cart and then I go to buy and I'm like, why do I have $1,400 in Amazon?
Because you save it for
Buying,
later,
like
right?
toilet paper.
I save it for later and then I'm like, no, I don't want this anymore.
Sometimes that cart gets purchased accidentally in my house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's happened.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even
Your
think I was
children?
really going to buy this jewelry, but you know what?
Oh, it's
here.
you, not your children.
Oh my gosh, that's
No,
actually
my
a
husband
great
has done
way
that
to
before.
surprise. Like, be like,
Ooh.
oh, I meant to surprise you with that gift.
From
Right.
Amazon.
If you have a shared Amazon account with someone, you could just drop all these things in the cart and like right before your birthday or like an anniversary or the holidays.
Mhm.
And they just go, boom,
Ooh,
Christmas
yeah.
shopping, done.
Done. I might have to do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But let me tell you about Puerto Rico,
Yes,
people.
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Give it to us.
So I have a good story and I have a bad story. So what do you want to
Say-
hear first?
Start
I
with
would-
the good one.
I was going to say start with the
gonna
bad one
say
so
the
the
bad
good one
one.
makes up for it.
Ooh.
Okay.
Wait. Okay. I'll do the sandwich technique. Do you know what that is?
No.
You start with the good,
Good, bad,
bad in the
good.
middle, and then
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So obviously, you know, I visited where Franklin is from.
My dad, but yeah,
Your dad. That's why he can't speak Spanish, but okay.
not a lick.
But it was amazing. It was a very short trip, and but my husband and I, we couldn't decide between, you know, old Puerto Rico,
Old
the
San
old,
Juan.
old San Juan,
Mhm.
versus the newer part by the beach. And so we did both. And so we started out in Old San Juan. We got a really beautiful hotel suite.
Mhm.
It was lovely. We had French doors that opened up to the little cobble street,
I
and
love that.
it was just romantic and just walking around and everything like that. We did 2 nights there, and then we spent another night at the beach, Condado Beach.
Yes.
Really nice, beautiful, high-end hotel. Paid extra just to have a beautiful view, exploring, food, all of that. I'm just going to fast track to the bad stuff.
Okay.
So it was supposed to be 3 nights, but we stayed 4. And the reason why we stayed 4 is because we got kicked off our flight.
Oh, well, that's normal right now.
That's not bad.
No, we got
When you're trying to go home.
escorted off the flight.
Wait, what?
Wait.
My
Yes.
God.
Did you do something that would make you show up on Instagram and these people are crazy type of thing?
It's something that could show up on Instagram, but it would not be, anything you want to look at or see.
Oh,
Hold on a
no.
second. You did not tell any of this story.
I did.
And
Scared now, Tracy.
and I can't even sit in this seat anymore.
Yeah, I need to know.
So I'm
Terrible.
online. We get to the airport early because my husband is a freak about that. He always wants to make sure we don't miss our flight. So we're there super early. We're hanging out at the airport, ready to go. Beautiful trip. It was amazing. My husband and I are great travel buddies. We're like high five. We travel great together.
Mm-mm.
And he's just like, I don't feel too good. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, boarding, time to board. We're online. He comes back out of the bathroom and he's like, I don't feel good.
Oh.
And
Wow.
literally he started.
He was throwing up.
On the plane?
Oh, we hadn't even gotten on the plane yet. He
Oh.
ran back to the bathroom, fixed himself up. We get on the plane, and I tell the flight attendant, please, may I have some ginger ale? My husband's not feeling too well. And he goes straight to the bathroom, at least tries. Everyone's trying to put their luggage up on the overhead. And literally, he's like, Tracy, I gotta go again. And literally, he's holding it in his mouth.
No.
Yuck.
And I'm like, get out the way, get out
Code
the way,
green,
get out the
code
way. He runs to the bathroom.
I would return him.
Oh my gosh. And you could hear like "Arr!" in the back. And
Is everyone like, oh?
no, people don't know what's
Okay.
going on except a flight attendant in the back. And so I go to her and I said, yeah, I'm waiting for some ginger ale. My husband's sick. She's like, I know, we've already called security. And I'm like, what?
What do you need security for?
You didn't
Deuces,
call
you guys
medic
are
or
out.
something?
Right. And
What?
I'm like, what? And she's just like, somebody will be here to help him. I'm like, okay. At that point, I knew,
Help him.
yeah, we're going to be
Off
kicked
the
off the
plane.
flight. And sure enough, this woman comes and she's like, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to get off for the betterment of the whole entire crew and the people who pay for the flight. It's the best thing for everyone. And finally, he got out of the bathroom and kicked us off. And of course, it was the last flight of the evening. So we were stuck
But
at
if you
some
weren't- if you
nasty hotel.
If you couldn't get
at
on
the
that flight, why do
airport.
you think the next one was going to be good?
Well, I just wanted to get home. When you're in that mindset to go home,
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
not thinking like,
You could also take the F train from Puerto Rico.
you did say that last time. So,
There's options.
And
it-
they won't kick you off for throwing up on
No,
that.
they
they
actually
won't. They won't.
they welcome a good old vomitron on the subway.
Oh my
I
God.
think there's actually a cart specified just for that.
It was like projectiles. So that was my first
But
time
how
ever
was
getting
he feeling?
Oh, he was really bad.
Did he lose weight?
and
and
he
you
was
know
good
what?
the next day. To
It was
leave?
from the food that we had our last. We were like, okay, we have a later flight. Let's have a nice, beautiful, luxurious lunch. And so we ate at one of the hotel restaurants, Serafina's. They have them all over the U.S. They have one in New York and Chicago, wherever. And he got this amazing burger, caramelized onions, all this cheese, everything. It was the burger.
I
He
don't
got
think
ill
that-
from it.
I don't think that burger was amazing.
No, yeah. I'm trying to get my money back for that too.
Oh, yeah.
From the flight or the burger?
From the burger.
Oh.
From the restaurant.
Girl, you better worry about that flight.
You got to get your dignity back from that flight.
Forget that beef.
But other than that, Puerto Rico was amazing.
So he was good to fly the next day, though. Like it
The next
cleared
day,
his system.
yeah,
and-
he was still ill, but
So-
so much better.
Did he
poor
lose?
guy.
Did he lose any weight? Like, is he
Well,
looking-
all the way he gained while we
Are
were
we getting,
there,
like-
he lost.
Are we getting cheekbones back?
That was a happy end of the sandwich, is that he lost a couple pounds.
Let me
exactly.
tell you something. If I know someone that has like a stomach bug, or
You want to be around him.
I want to lick their tooth.
Oh.
I want to lick their toothbrush, and I just like that's a cool way to lose like 5 to 10 pounds easily.
He came home shredded.
And
Evelyn.
everyone's like looking at your face, like, oh, your face looks so thin. I'm like, little stomach bug.
Oh my
But
God.
I didn't want that to be my memory for Puerto Rico. But luckily, we both agreed. We were just like, that was a horrible way to end it, but the trip was still amazing.
And
so
you'd go back.
definitely
Just
Okay.
not to have that burger.
not gonna have the burger.
Okay. Well,
Other than that,
tell Vince we hope he's feeling better.
I will.
Yeah. And we are starting our workout next week. Bring his toothbrush.
But enough about me. Let's talk about Evelyn.
What about Franklin's birthday? Franklin had a birthday
He
too.
did.
He did.
I did. So I celebrated my 41st birthday.
Air quotes.
Yeah, no, it's no.
Okay.
That is my legit
Okay.
age. I'm not hiding the number, but 41 because I have been getting people telling me, you do look a little bit younger than 41. So I'm gonna embrace 41.
You look way younger than 41. Not that 41 is old, but you definitely look like you're in your mid 30s.
See,
Like
Yeah,
you
he
don't have
does.
any gray hair.
I have some in. Someone was pointing it out to me yesterday.
He's bald, Evelyn.
Oh my God. I
No,
was
but he's
Bye.
not always bald.
I am-
He has a beard sometimes. Like
I-
Franklin's
That's true.
very
I
experimental with his facial hair.
I'm bald by choice. I can shave it and I can have it grow back by October.
Heck yeah.
I was literally just having a moment in the mirror the other day. I found two. So I don't have a lot of gray hairs, but they're like, I'm at that stage where they're starting to show up.
Same.
And they're still, they're sparse enough where like I can still pull,
Pull
them out.
That's what I did.
But
too.
I found two in a row next to each other, like in like the sideburn area. And I was like, oh my God, it's
Yeah.
time.
It's time.
It's almost time.
It's time to pluck more.
Pluck more
It's
until I'm
time to start
bald.
dyeing
I'm gonna look like
your
Franklin
hair.
in our next taping.
Listen, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. I'm not mad at it.
No, you look great, Franklin.
Yeah, so birthday was fun. It wasn't a big number. I would say that, just happy to be on this side of the grass, I guess. And had a sort of like nothing major, but just sort of had like brunch with friends. And Evelyn was there. I invited you guys, but you both were busy.
Oh.
It's like a low key rage.
Yeah, it was definitely like low key rage, but still a rage. I would say like a 7-8.
Ooh, that's
I
good.
mean, brunch started at like 1-ish. I didn't get home until I think 1
oh my
a.m.
God.
So that's
That is a freaking rage,
a
guys.
little bit of raging. Yeah.
I mean-
slight rage.
Wow.
What else are you gonna do on a Sunday? Labor Day weekend.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree.
So
We
had a
had,
good.
we had an infant in a gay bar. That was kind of the highlight,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Really? How did that happen?
A friend of mine. She has a son. He's one in a little bit, and we were going to Uproar. It was open, and she walked up to the bar to say, we're coming in. They didn't let her in. They said you're not allowed.
Well, she had a full stroller.
Yeah,
she had the infant in a stroller.
She had the stroller and everything. I was like, the hell, you're not going to be allowed in this bar. So she gives me the strap-on stuff,
Oh, that
Like
explains
the baby
photos.
Bjorn. Yeah.
the strap-on baby thing.
This
And-
is 40, just like the movie.
Apparently,
And-
this is the trick, though. Like, if you want to go to a raging nightclub with your infant, simply don't take the stroller.
Yeah.
Just you need a baby
Oh.
Bjorn.
No, you just disguise them
And
as
it's
an
totally fine.
accessory, and it's fine.
Right, like a backpack.
Well,
It's not a child. This is a statement neck piece.
I walked in.
backpack.
I walked in and I was like, I'm going in, and he looked at me. He's like, well, what are you guys going to do with the stroller? And I was like, can leave it right here, right?
Right. Nobody's going to steal that
And
thing.
nobody's stealing the stroller.
Nobody's
outside
taking
the
a
bar.
stroller, right? Outside of a gay bar, unless, they're having a really good night.
There's some things you can do with that.
We're gonna
Whatever that means.
we're gonna experiment with this stroller.
I can picture it, honestly.
Hey,
No
one
more
of my
sco-
neighbors had a swing.
No more
so-
scooters. No more scooters.
Swing,
No more Uber.
stroller.
We're
What's the difference?
This is not that kind of show.
Okay.
It could be. We're talking
No,
about
there is
relationships
sex in real
today,
estate.
right?
There's that one show on Netflix that was going to be one of my recommendations,
Which
the
one?
sex room one,
Oh,
where they build like their customized sex
I
room
saw
in their
that. I've
house.
seen
What?
Yes.
No.
yeah. My neighbor had that.
No, I can't.
Franklin's not into
No.
it. It brings back too many memories.
So Sunday was fun, and I was just happy to be able to spend it with some folks and stuff. So
Well,
it
I'm
was.
sorry
People
I
who
wasn't
love
able
you.
to make it.
No, it was fine.
And I was in Boston.
I know.
We can rage with your infant another day.
Yes, I will.
Right.
I
If you
will-
ever want to get your child into a gay bar, just call me. I'll let you.
Mighty would
I-
never be strapped in one of those things. I think I had him in there like when he couldn't move still. And now if I put him in one, I'm pretty sure he'd give me a concussion. He'd like headbang me like this.
So, so all caught up.
Yeah.
Now on to our hot topic for
Ooh,
today:
what is it?
relationships and real estate.
Oh, but as it relates to, I had a situation with a closing. Can we talk about that? It's a
Oh
relationship.
yeah, Tracy's
and it
jumping
has
right
to do
into
with
it.
Evelyn.
Oh,
Well,
You can't handle the.
Evelyn part of the transaction, or she was just a.
I was the problem or the
No,
solution?
you are definitely the solution.
Okay.
I was like, ooh, this is interesting.
All right,
She's like-
continue.
She's like, short visit. Bye, guys.
But it's a recent transaction, the one with the divorcing couple. Remember that?
Oh,
my-
yes.
That was a nightmare.
Yes.
It still hasn't ended.
So divorcing couples, those are, in my opinion, the worst transactions. Like they just have the ability to just go super left, you know? I mean, because
Right.
one of the things that's wonderful about what I do is that I'm usually helping people do something they want to do. Like I'm
Mhm.
managing a transaction for people who want to buy and sell real estate. Everybody's
Right.
usually happy about it. Divorce is the exception to that rule.
And we
So
didn't know they were divorcing. They kept it on the
they
down
didn't
low.
say anything, yeah,
Oh,
which
guys.
is very
Disclose,
odd.
disclose,
Until
disclose.
closing day.
Until closing day.
Yeah.
Yes, the settlement proceeds. There was a discrepancy on who was to get what. And the husband pulled a fast one on the wife. And I don't know what the ratio was that he was trying to give her, but it was not her fair share. Let's just say that. And so she refused to sign at the closing
Yeah.
So
table.
they're
Just
in
walked
the
away.
middle of a divorce currently.
So this is the thing. Usually, or in a lot of cases, we would know that sellers are divorcing because
Right.
we would be able to tell from court records. They would tell us. This is one of the questions we ask actually in our questionnaire, like while they're preparing for settlement. So typically we would know if people are getting divorced, but they didn't inform us and there was nothing filed. So sometimes people are separated,
Right.
but they don't actually have anything filed with the court. Like you could even be lawyered up. Both people have, family law attorneys and stuff, but you just simply haven't filed anything yet. So it's unsearchable. We can't figure it out from court records. So the only way to know is if they tell us.
Wow.
They didn't tell us. And then I guess the wife didn't like the split the husband was asking for. And so she walked away.
Walked away. And so I got a call from the processor, and her name is Lucky. Hey, Lucky, I love you. And I was so
Lucky
bubbly
was
because
not
it's
so
closing
lucky
day.
this day.
Right. And I could just hear the drop in her voice that something was wrong. And she's like, yeah, the wife didn't sign. And I said, what do you mean she didn't sign? Everybody else has signed. And she's like, she's refusing to sign. And so my client had to get an attorney based off of Evelyn's recommendation. You did an incredible job in fostering and facilitating all of the back and forth. It was
Oh,
a
thank
nightmare to
Well-
try to get them to go to closing. We had to kind of use
So it is
a legal
going.
arm to
It
get.
closed. It did close. Yeah.
Okay.
It just took a minute for them to work
And the
out.
buyers were okay with the delay.
Well, they finally got to closing a week later at an added cost because my client had to hire an attorney. And so that was deducted from their final proceeds.
Buyers sought to enforce the contract.
Absolutely.
yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
they must have been like, you guys figure your own shit out. Like this shouldn't impact us.
My client was going to sue for specific performance. That's
Right.
what it's called, right?
That's right.
Oh, God, the
And
legal
so-
terms that are flying out of your mouths today.
You know what? That's what we do. But it's still going on because they had a post occupancy agreement and the wife left the house trashed.
Oh no.
Mm.
Bags of stuff, trash,
Her stuff or his stuff?
her stuff.
Mm.
Her stuff.
Mhm.
And so now there's a dispute over the security deposit. And here it is September, and that closing was in July.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's not fun. And it's not fair because everyone's still involved. Your company, Smart Settlement, still has to be involved because you're holding the
We're
funds.
the escrow agent. Yeah, we're the ones holding the
Yeah.
security deposit.
And I'm the agent.
Well, I mean, those are things out of your control because if they didn't disclose that any of this was going down, there was no way for anyone to prepare for that. Because I'm sure if
There's no way to prepare. And then because there's nothing filed with the court, there's no court order or divorce decree. It's just basically these are people who are they're really just married, right?
Yeah, they are.
And they just don't want to be together.
And they don't want to be together because there's nothing in a court of law regarding them being divorced or seeking divorce. So there's nothing to enforce. You know, sometimes we have like a court order that says you get this much and you get this much. So then it's really clear, you know, how we're supposed to disperse money, and people can't argue about it. But when you have something like this where they're newly separated and they don't agree on things, you know, it's tricky.
That's why I think it's very important to choose your settlement company wisely and to foster relationships with the attorneys and all of the management of that title company, because you never know when you're going to need to leverage their help. And like I said, Evelyn did a bang up job, and you know, I'm forever grateful.
Oh, thank you.
And there's really nothing that like a real estate agent, I mean, technically we could during our listing agreement be like, are you guys planning on getting a divorce? But like, if they're not bringing that up, like, why would you even ask that?
I can't imagine that you're getting that listing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are you guys planning to get divorced? Or like,
we ask. We do ask that.
Well, that
That's
makes
part
sense
of our process.
within the settlement, like, part. But like, as we're gearing up and getting ready for a listing, like, that's not on our questionnaire because unless they're going to bring it up, like, why would we bring up something so negative? That's like being like, do you guys plan on getting cancer anytime during this? Do we need a power of attorney? Like, you know, it's just, you don't ask questions like that to people.
No, you don't.
It's a very challenging position to be in, too, to be the listing agent dealing with a divorcing couple, because you have two clients where you have a fiduciary responsibility to both of them, and they have conflicting interests potentially.
Absolutely.
You know, like I feel for that agent that's in that position, because I've seen that many, many times, and it's a very challenging position to be in. And typically there's a client who feels more connected to the agent than the other client. And so often there's like this suggestion that you're working more for that client than you are for me, or you know, like there's usually one client who trusts the agent less, you know. So it's a very challenging position for the realtor to be in, and a lot of times it's better for the realtor to just be like, hey, you guys need to get your own counsel, you know, I'm here to represent both of you, but if you guys have differing interests, you have to get your attorneys to talk about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, would it make sense for a real estate agent in a nasty divorce to actually speak directly to counsel?
Oh, absolutely.
Versus dealing with each client individually, so that you're not putting yourself in a precarious position.
Yes, and sometimes it comes to that where, like in this case, actually, it came to a point where the husband and wife no longer wanted to communicate directly with my office or with their agent. They literally just said, let's let counsel talk. But remember, when you make that happen, it also starts to cost them a lot more money. You know, I mean, you're paying your divorce attorney by the hour. So simple conversations, these things add up.
They really, really do. And actually, my client, she wanted me to have a conversation with the other party, the listing agents, the seller's attorney, excuse me. And I was thinking, like, this is not my role, my level of expertise, but she just wanted me to get, you know, a third party neutral point of view. And, you know, it goes to say that, you know, us as agents, as realtors, how much time and effort we do put in beyond what the expectations are of the buyer. A lot of times in terms of what we do and how we continue to work on their behalf even after the transaction has closed. So
it's kind of like insurance. Like, you buy it for like when things go south, right? I mean, the best case scenario is like your real estate agent might be overpaid and like everything went smoothly. Well, great. Like, you got a home, fantastic. Or you got to sell your house for a lot of money.
Couldn't find us on Craigslist.
But when shit goes down, like, you want an agent that can actually perform for you. Otherwise, it's almost like, well, then just take the risk yourself.
Good point, Gigi.
Yeah, it's like playing double dutch. You gotta know when to jump in. Just had to lighten the mood a little bit.
So if you guys haven't figured out what Evelyn does, she is an attorney with Smart Settlements, and she's also one of the partners there as well. Tell me about how you got into settlement and in DC, no less. I mean, are you from this area?
I am not from this area. I'm originally from Los Angeles.
Oh my!
wow.
Of course you are. That explains
Right.
so much, guys. There's a reason why we have video today, so we can show off this beautiful specimen here.
Aw,
Thank you,
From-
guys.
From
Thank
LA.
thanks, guys. Jeez.
By association, Franklin.
Yeah, but I'm originally from Los Angeles, but haven't lived there since I was 17. So left for undergrad, went to University of Florida, then went to Emory for law school. And then after law school, I started doing insurance defense litigation,
Oh.
which is super duper boring.
I was going to say that must be like, but it's a lot of
You know,
negative stuff. that
It
you're
pays
doing.
well, but it's definitely like adversarial litigation.
Mm.
The type of firm I was practicing with, wonderful firm, but just kind of just super boring. Like I remember trying to explain to my husband who I was dating at the time. He's like, I don't understand why you don't like this. Like they pay you really well.
It's like you're getting
I
the money.
like the money, honey.
Right. And I was like, just imagine it's like writing the worst term paper of your life every single day. Because
Oh.
it was a lot of motions practice. Like the kind of cases we did never really went to trial or anything. So
Mm.
kind of like the exciting part of it like never happened. So I was actually just like, I think this isn't for me, and maybe I need to transition into something else. And like, you know what? I think I want to do real estate. My first job ever was as an assistant real estate agent to my parents' realtor.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like I was like 16. I had a car. I didn't have a car, but I could drive my mom's car. And basically, my parents' realtor was like, you know, you could like be my assistant. You can show houses for me in LA. Just like dress up. You'll look older. Drive your mom's nice car.
Right.
And you sit in the empty house and just like tell people where to go. So
This is the early selling sunset, guys. I'm loving it.
And in fact, she didn't have to be
It's all for
licensed.
show. This
Right.
is proving it's
so there were
true.
all these things I couldn't do in showing the house in LA. So I was like showing all these homes in like Beverly Hills and stuff, but it was like I could never tell anyone the price.
Yeah, I was going to say, you open the door
No.
and they're like, how much is it? And you're like, well, I can't say.
I'm like, hello. And I would slide the piece of paper that is like,
Sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like I shouldn't be allowed to say the price. How much is the house?
no, I'd be like, lovely to see
Not
you.
allowed to tell you.
Here you go.
If you have to ask, you can't afford.
Right.
Did you check the zip code? Yeah.
No, the worst
902
is when
now.
it's like $699.9 and you're like, oh, it's $700. And they're like, oh, I thought it was $699.9. And I'm like,
It is.
it is.
Do you,
It is.
do you want the dollar gift funds?
Right. So I basically decided, like, I think I want to be a real estate agent. So I went and I met with a brokerage in Atlanta, and the broker had her title attorney at the meeting, which I did not expect, but I think she thought, why are you here? You're a lawyer. Why are you here? You must want to be a
Oh.
title attorney. But I'm like, I'm actually here because I want to be a realtor. So he offered me a job on the spot. His name's Leonard Medley. He
What?
still does the same thing down in Atlanta, Georgia. And he was like, you'll love it. Like, just come in. And I was like, well, this isn't really why I'm here.
Right.
But he's like, no, just come in and like try it. So I did. I went in and I tried doing some settlements, and he was right. I just immediately loved it. Completely different kind of practice. Like I was saying
Absolutely.
before, like not adversarial. It's not you're not like somebody's pit bull fighting in
Right.
something. Every day you're helping people do something they want to do. You know, like first time home buyers are the best. Everybody's
Yes.
excited and happy and whatever. So I was just immediately like, this is what I think I want to do. And then one of my best friends was living in DC, and she had opened a brokerage up here. Her name's Cher Castillo. She's still in real estate now. And she, I think, selfishly just wanted me to move to DC so we could hang out. I'm sure that's true. She's like, oh, you're smart. It's
And you
cool."
did.
Yeah, so she's like, come up here, like open a title company, and like my brokerage will do business with you. Like we don't have any, allegiance to anybody. And
Wow.
so that's basically what happened.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I think I've been here. It's been almost 17 years now.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And now
But I
you're-
love it. I love what I do. I really do.
You're really good at it. And
you.
I will say that I've had my fair share. Ooh, sounds a little weird. I had my fair share of dealing with different title attorneys, and you're super responsive and always getting back to people. If you say you're going to do something, you do follow through.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think that's a very good point. I think that in our industry, real estate agents and lenders are expected to pick up the phone at all hours of the night, which we've spoken about, and ungodly hours, when we should be raging or sleeping, they call. And but I do think that title is like the one section where most title companies fall short. You can't call them out of office hours. Like they don't stay late to help make it happen. And with Evelyn, when we have contract questions, I mean, I try not to call you after hours or not on the weekends, but I know it's being worked on, you know, and I know that she will pick up the phone when I call her.
Yeah,
She's
well,
got
I
a
welcome
million
that.
things
No, I
to
totally
do.
welcome that. And lots of agents text and call me at all hours of the weekend and evening. And, you know, we were just talking about like me transitioning from doing like litigation to transactional practice, which is really what title stuff is. And one of the reasons I transitioned was actually it's very 9 to 5. It's very 9 to 5 compared to other legal practices, you know, because it's like banker's hours, because we're only transacting business when the banks are open.
Right.
And but I fully have always recognized that the people that I'm working with in the industry do not have those hours.
Right.
So but honestly, those kind of calls and questions, they don't bother me. Like, I'm happy to help agents.
That's probably your excitement, you know?
No, it's like honestly, the questions and stuff, I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. It's nothing for me to answer an agent's call and, you know, try to help them with something. So,
and whenever I call Evelyn, I call her for like the most obscure contract question.
You have good questions. You have very good questions, you know, like that's one of the things where I know like an agent has their head on straight, or they're a really smart agent. Right. Like they ask really smart questions, you know?
Thank you. I think maybe it almost comes from overthinking things, but
it's important though. You're dealing with contracts and the DMV, like you guys are expected as agents to handle contracts.
Right.
Yeah,
you know?
it's true. Like we don't hire an attorney.
It's not like New York where there's an attorney doing it.
Yeah.
They are like, I keep talking about how agents don't write contracts in New York. And everyone keeps asking, well, what the hell do they do?
Right. Agents find the house and then they're like, oh, you like it? Beautiful. Go get a lawyer.
Oh my gosh, that sounds beautiful.
It really
Well,
does.
I mean, when you're sitting in DocuSign trying to figure out
Oh, I hate it.
everyone's names and all this other stuff, it's not pretty. And then you have a really good agent on the other side who lets you know that you forgot to fill out a certain section of the
like,
contract.
You're missing 5 initials here.
When you get that back to me, we'll consider it.
I do want to share with our listeners, not only is Evelyn very smart and very intelligent, but she has great style. And to our listeners, you can't see her visually, but she has a fantastic outfit and a big gold chain around her neck, okay? And I'm loving it.
I mean,
Thank you.
I mean, we are recording today.
We are, so you can see it.
We want them to see it, but if they choose to listen, I just want to verbally tell them.
Well, so here I am, always being like, I think I showered today. And then Evelyn asked Franklin, so like, what's the attire today? Like, what do I wear? And she was like, can I wear jeans? And then Franklin asked me and talks to me about it. I'm like, I know she's going to look freaking like 10 out of 10.
Oh,
like no, jeans, like I still got to show up. Like it doesn't matter with her.
No.
Well, I knew we were going to have like cameras.
Yeah.
So.
And I actually showed up the bummiest today.
I was like, Franklin, where is your suit? Where is your jacket?
The outfit is actually the sneakers, and you can't see them.
But Franklin's always cute. It doesn't matter what you have on,
It's
okay?
true.
So, back to topic, because I love this conversation about relationships. Because I'm doing a lot of, like, if you're doing transactions with same-sex couples, sometimes they're not married.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When they're buying a house, and like, is there a good way to take title? Is there a good way to, if they are not married, to set themselves up to be in a good situation should the relationship go awry?
So, you know, when I first started in the title business, same-sex marriage was not legal in most jurisdictions. I think in all the jurisdictions I worked in, like, so there was definitely a period of time where same-sex couples had to do additional estate planning to kind of like plan for these things. Like you couldn't just you couldn't take title as tenants by the entirety. Like one of the quickest and dirtiest ways to do some really efficient estate planning is just to think through how you're taking title with someone. And
title says how you hold the deed.
exactly, like
Okay.
how you're named with other people on title to the property. So, if it's just one person, you're going to be sole owner. That's easy peasy. But if you have multiple people, you have choices.
Mhm.
So you can do tenants by the entirety, which is the classification reserved for married couples. But what you're going to get with that is right of survivorship. Okay, so like if one of you passes away, by operation of law, the remaining co-tenant becomes the sole owner of the property. That's what most people want when they're married, right?
Right.
If you die, you don't want your spouse to have to like go through probate and all this kind of stuff just for you to own the property. Like you just want your spouse to own the house. And then you also get some judgment protections. Okay, so like if you get a credit card judgment against you and you own a property with somebody else, and you own it as a joint tenant, okay, which is another classification that you could take, that judgment is going to attach to your house. So in order for you to sell the house, you have to pay off that judgment. There are different liens and judgments that are going to attach for that reason. But if you take title as tenants by the entirety, those things have to be against both of you in order for them to attach to the property. So,
Interesting.
so Tracy can't just get a credit card judgment against her. It has to be against her and her husband in order for it to attach to the home. So that's a really beneficial thing when you're married.
I almost feel like it should be opposite, because like you would think that if you're not married, that's when you would feel like, oh, I don't fully understand the financial situation of this person that I'm taking title with. So should something happen with their finances, I feel like it almost shouldn't attach to the property.
So, and that makes sense, but it's like protection of the homestead.
Okay.
It's kind of, I think, the idea
Got it.
behind it. That, if you're a married couple, like your spouse should be able to have some autonomy in that homestead of the property.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I hear you. I hear you. That makes sense too. A lot of times the other classifications, though, are used for people who have maybe business interests together, rather than like a familial connection. So, but the tenants by the entirety was something that until gay marriage was legal, it was not available to gay couples at all.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So do you think tenants by entirety is better than joint tenants with right of survivorship?
Yes, it is. I mean, because you don't get judgment protection with
Okay.
joint tenants. So that's the difference, actually. You're going to get right of survivorship if you take title as joint tenants. You do not get any judgment protection.
Got it.
Yeah. So
Note
it's
to
the
self.
kind of thing like, we see people who are family do this. Like, let's say you add your mom to title with you, or you add your child, because you want, if you pass away, you want that family member to take title to the property. You don't want any funny business or any probate required or anything like that. You just want to do some quick and dirty estate planning.
So I have joint tenant with right of survivorship with my mom in New York to the property we co-own.
Yeah.
So should I change it?
Well, are you going to marry your mother?
Do you
No.
want, so the
Can you
other
marry your mother?
option, the other option for you would be tenants in common.
Oh, right.
Okay. So if you take title as tenants in common, what you're allowed to do is you could give her a specified interest. Okay. So right now you guys have an indivisible share as joint tenants. But if you do tenants in common, you could decide that mom gets 20% and you get 80, or vice versa, or whatever percentage you think of. And then also, should one of you pass away, your shares are going to go to your estate, not to the surviving co-tenant.
Oh,
Okay. So that's the difference. There's no
Got
right of
it.
survivorship with tenants in common.
okay.
So people are more likely to do tenants in common with like a business partner. Let's say me and Franklin decide to buy a rental property together.
Done. Miami.
Ooh, we're going to do it. I want to do it too.
Puerto Rico, right?
Puerto Rico.
Vince is not allowed to come and eat burgers.
I agree. I'm not going to debate you on that one.
But if Franklin and I decide to buy a rental property together, probably if he passes away, he doesn't want me to just become the sole owner of the
Right.
property.
He wants his family to
I
get
don't
a
know.
piece
You
of
guys
the
are pretty
pie.
tight. You might want that.
I mean, Sonia's cool, but she ain't that cool.
Right, exactly.
So where's my son's money?
Exactly. So probably
She's already asking for it.
we're gonna want to like specify the shares and then, and do tenants in common, so that if something happens to us, our shares go to our heirs and not the other co-tenant. Yeah.
And it also allows, like, if it's a more of a business arrangement, let's say it's a very lucrative property, like multi-million-dollar multifamily property, and you own it,
Naturally, that's why we're involved.
obviously, then you can sell your shares of it as it's almost like a business at that point
Yes,
to
that's
someone
true.
else to earn money
Mhm.
from
Yes.
whatever the profit is.
That's a great point, is that with tenants in common, you can sell your shares separately
Without
Okay.
the permission of the other?
without the permission of the other. So let's say, Franklin and I have 40%, he has 60%, and then, I want to sell my 40% off. I could do that without his
Oh, I don't like
consent.
that. Not doing that with anybody.
Ooh.
So-
You're not selling anything
Why?
without my acknowledgement.
So I can look on the dark side of this though too. So if you're
Oh.
married, but you're feeling like there's a good chance that it's not going to
Ooh,
work,
ooh.
and you're worried that that person might poison you to get the property, so then you may want
What
to
do you-
put the title in a different
Did you-
way.
Oh, yeah.
Did you fall asleep watching Dallas?
That's really good, Gigi, though.
I have had
really.
married
Good
couples.
point.
I've had married couples do that. So
Yeah.
one of the really common reasons to do tenants in common if you're married is that maybe you have like a Brady Bunch family. Okay. So like maybe you have, two folks who already have separate families, but then they came together and merged their families. So like you have kids, wife has
Blended family.
blended family.
That's what I
Thank
was
you.
thinking
I think
of,
that's
yes.
what you say, not Brady Bunch family.
I mean,
Does that
both
say our
work.
age if we know who the Brady Bunch is?
So there could be a
Not mine.
reason why you want to keep your shares separate. Or maybe you have, you want to be very clear that like one person has put in more money than the other and you have different estates, different heirs. Sometimes people have family trusts as well. But then also they've come together. So if you have, two spouses with trusts, you want to make sure and keep those interests separate and do tenants in common. So there are very good reasons to do it,
Mhm.
I'm telling you, before I make my next
Besides just
decision,
murdering your husband.
I'm talking to Evelyn.
Yeah. And just disclose if you feel like there's a chance you could be poisoned. Like
Yeah.
she'll be able to guide you to make the very best decision.
I know. I love how Gigi's rationale is in case I want
I'm with her. I'm
my
with you on that
spouse.
one.
In case you want to get
What are my
poisoned.
best options if I think my spouse might poison me?
No, because there's a less of a chance of him doing that to you because then he won't get the property.
Jesus.
It's really a defense mechanism against, being killed by your spouse.
I mean, I don't know. Like I'm single, and I think when I was in a relationship and we were looking to potentially buy something, I would want us to be all in there 100%
Mm-hmm.
together, right?
Listen, sis.
Yikes!
Yeah.
We got the first sis of the show.
Yeah. So I mean, I see many, many people do that. Okay. Like lots of people take title and they're not married. And honestly, but they're in a relationship. So it's
Mhm.
one thing to take title with like your brother, your sister,
Mhm.
your mother, whatever. That relationship is not going to end. But I do not recommend taking title with your boyfriend or girlfriend.
My eyes are like bugging out. Like, what? Really?
Oh my God.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
No, huh?
Right.
Absolutely not. I mean, does anyone on this panel think that sounds like a good idea?
I mean, I've worked with
Have you
so
never seen
many
this go
couples.
left?
I have
Because
seen-
I have.
I've worked with so many couples who, and very recently, good friends of mine, like people are in, committed relationships and they buy real estate together because it makes sense financially to go into a big purchase with someone else to help
Listen,
you.
I'm so jealous of all these couples that live around me and they're splitting their expenses.
Yeah, until they start getting split up because of divorce.
I mean, at that point, I'm like,
But we're not talking about married
100
people.
yeah.
Right.
We're talking about people do it. So if you have the legal construct of marriage, there's a whole bunch there are all of these rules and regulations about what will happen with your belongings and your assets and your real estate. So you don't have to worry about planning for that if you're married.
Right.
Okay.
right, there's
But if-
protections built in.
Yes, but if you are not married, first of all, let's just think about the fact that you've chosen not to get married yet and what that says about your relationship.
that's a
Good
yikes.
point.
But on top of that, like you just, you're going to need to, you should lawyer up. I mean, sometimes we do agreements for folks like this. It's like we do kind of like these co-tenancy agreements where people who are taking title together, you know, they know that they're not married. This is a choice that they've made to not be married, but they want to buy real estate together. They see the benefits of it, but they want to plan for what happens if it doesn't work out.
Right.
And I think that's
And
really smart.
It's smart. It is smart.
I think that that's what people should do.
Also, the way that you
generally.
handle that agreement, if you still, because not everybody abides by their contracts, right?
Sure.
So, as we
Right.
just
Absolutely.
like the first scenario we talked about today. So, if they don't abide by that contract, though, you have to remember that your option is to enforce your agreement in a court of law.
Right.
Okay, which is a whole thing. So,
And it's going to cost money, honey.
right.
Well, I really want to
Potentially.
get into that. This is part 1 of our episode. Franklin has some juicy story that relates to this awful split of people in legal and disclosures. And I can't wait to share with you guys this story. So we'll be right
boy.
back.
We'll be right back.
We'll catch you on the next episode, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.